Shalom, Yeshua. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and infinite glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles at Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to your hopeful elect Akim out there laboring that are pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. This is your brother Amar from the GMS Boise, Idaho camp, coming at you with a quick news update from today, showing that the Russian fleet that had entered in Havana over the weekend, I believe it was Saturday, that docked there with 4 ships, one of them being a nuclear vessel, and then another one was a nuclear-powered submarine. And they say there's no nuclear missiles, but we understand that why would you tell your enemy what you have and don't have? Secondly, the reason why that they're over here in the first place is going back to the Pentagon allowing Ukraine to use U.S. supplied weapons to strike targets behind Russian lines. You can see how this is a problem for Russia. And what they're doing right now is showing America that they're not the big, bad, tough, country that they were back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. They've crumbled down to an empire in the point of they're still strong, but they're not the only strong big kid on the block anymore, per se. But this is the update. NORTHCOM and NORAD, which are different military command centers that watch over the United States and other parts of the world that command where the U.S. military goes, are on alert. A fleet of 4 Russian warships are reportedly being shadowed by U.S. and Canadian naval vessels off the coast of Florida in a potential standoff during Russian and Cuban war games. In the waters off the Florida coast, biggest direct standoff in North America since the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. And I believe that there was a request to have them leave, which they denied. They're staying. And there's another picture that I have with this, and we understand that this is Russia, which is the main guard of the adversaries of Babylon, because in the main guard, which means they're the main enemy, they're the main military, they're the main army, they're the main guard at the front door if something goes wrong. Even though there's China, Iran, also other members like NATO countries that are going to go against this beast, like Turkey is in the works of actually leaving NATO. And we'll see what happens as that situation develops. But it's because they're getting untreated unfairly. The point being that Turkey is the second largest military power in NATO. So they would be a big contributor if they were to leave NATO, even though that NATO doesn't treat them the same because they're the only Muslim country, mainly the only main Muslim country in the NATO EU area. And that's why they're not accepted into the European Union, because then all the Muslims that are fleeing as refugees would have more rights to go into the European countries that they're already so-called, invading. But this is U.S. is chasing nuclear Russian submarine near Florida. 2 U.S. Navy destroyers are following a group of Russian vessels that came within 66 miles of Florida on the way to Cuba last night. Analysts believe Russia is strategically sending a warning to U.S. after NATO gave Ukraine the green light to carry out attacks on Russian soil last week, which I also did a lesson on. So this is what we call these nations getting ready for war. And this comes soon after Russia declares U.S. enemy state for first time, which they also said that they're going to be giving weapons and arms to the West's enemies in parts of the world. So let's say in Syria, where Russia is, they're going to be funding these certain rebel groups that directly and openly attack, the United States. The Kremlin has officially labeled the United States as an enemy state for the first time, reflecting the deteriorating relations between Moscow and Washington. And I did read this article in a lesson I did a couple days ago, but I wanted to read it again because this all goes hand in hand to why the U.S. isn't accepting these Russian ships with open arms, man. They've been at a proxy war with them for almost 2 years now. So this is a couple scriptures that I have. This is Ezekiel 38:11. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. This is Babylon the Great, man. Obviously, Florida, down there south of the panhandles of Miami. There's no military base blocking the furthest point south, one of the furthest points south of the United States. There's no big old barricaded wall in Texas. There's no battle installments along the coasts in Oregon, Washington, California. None of that. So it's the unwalled villages. These cities, as you go in the United States, have open freeways right in. Because this is a very proud place, man. Thinking that they're not going to be invaded. And if they do, they wouldn't need to worry like that. But going back to unwalled villages, which means they have no defenses to what these nations are going to bring. Which ultimately the no defense that they have is that hypersonic nuclear missile, which they have a weapon that the United States cannot stop. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely. Over here, Babylon the Great, called the virgin daughter Babylon, thinking that they're all good. All of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. Verse 12, to take spoil, to take a spoil, and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, because Babylon the Great is a melting pot of all types of people right here that are inhabiting this place, taking spoil and taking this place as prey, in the point of being taking advantage of Jake while they live here, while Jake's in the curses, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. So that's who the Lord is coming, man. That's who they're coming after. These Russians, these enemies are ultimately going to be taking this place over like caterpillars on a plant, man, like the scriptures say. So this is something that is happening, man. And as you can see, prophecy is lining up and it's coming down quick. And it's coming quick, man. This is just a, quick in the news update. This is all Yapa. I wanted to get straight to the point and make sure that, it stays on that. Hey, man, the United States and Russia are now actively going back and forth in America's waters. And as you can see in that picture, it said, biggest direct standoff in North America since the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. Man, so almost, what is that? 58 years, 62 years. We're in 2024, yeah, like 62 years. About, man. So this place is due, man. Due for another great war, so-called. And as you can see, it's happening. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the elect. So next time, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and infinite glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to Yehovah like Dakium that are out there laboring, that are pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. Till next time, Lord willing, Shalom.